Hi again, everyone. Good evening. It's time for Ticket to Ride. Boy, I have had quite a Sunday today. I hope you all had a good rest of your Sunday since we were last with you. But I don't know if any of you saw, but I did, of course. As I've said, I've greenlit the Lockport video, and it is now officially out for you all to enjoy. But let's take a few moments to talk about what happened when we were with you earlier today. As I trying to get my tablet to mirror with the computer, so we can start the game here. There we go. Let's see, the audio is already going straight through. So, so of course, as expected, I did go to, um, one of my relatives. We did have our play day there. Obviously, the first thing we did was have of course, their collection of snacks. Um, Original Ritz crackers. Original Ritz crackers. Some slices of apple, a few apple slices, and also some Land O'Lakes American cheese to go along with it. Oh, and I yeah. So we had Ritz crackers, some grapes, apple slices, and some Land O'Lakes American cheese. No, not the white American that I usually have with my sandwich here at home, but it's the standard American. Now, because we were tight on time, since we only got there around 2 p.m., we only had time to play only two games. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did only two games. All of play nine. Yes, the card game, and only one round we played. Oh yeah, of that. And then we also did play Five Crown. However, we did not have enough time to get through all of it because of our dinner reservation at Embers, which of course was where I shot the Lockport Rail Fanny video that's now out. But as I have pretty much anticipated, I expected Lockport to be pretty quiet, and certainly it was. However, as in that Rail Fanny video that I published, I've only gotten 3 trains out of that whole thing. The first two, of course, were on BNSF, and then we stuck around for Amtrak's Lincoln service, number 305. I believe that was the same. I believe that was the same exact train number it caught towards the end of the last time we were there. But yeah, I expected not much activity at all because today's a Sunday. So, of course, I did get. I gotta say, when I did the video, when I got the footage of the Lincoln service, I gotta say that piece of footage turned out so much better than the first time. I gotta be honest. The first instance of wait, that's not the right one. There we go. So yeah, the first time that I was in Lockport, and I actually did a bunch of comparing and contrasting due to the first one. And by the way, you saw the routes that we're playing for our first game here. So let's start it now. But going back to Lockport, I did see two intermodal trains on the Chillicothe subdivision, and then of course Lincoln service number 305. I believe I actually caught that same exact train. I think 3 separate times. I believe this is the third time I've caught it. I've actually caught it because the first time was actually part of the surprise rail fanning compilation. That was number 305, the Lincoln service. And if I go back on the playlist, I have labeled all the trains in order. So it was Lincoln Service 305. This was indeed the third time that I've actually caught that train. And as anticipated, that was the only train that went down the Heritage Corridor when I was there. But of course, there were some other differences too. The layout was nearly completely different, but I'd say the layout looked pretty much identical to how it was when I was there last time. And then, let's see. So yeah, those two intermodals and the Lincoln service were the only trains I saw when we were there, as I expected, because the Heritage Corridor barely sees anything on a weekend, except for Amtrak's services and some freights. Well, there weren't any freights that I saw. So I gotta say, the first video was actually I'll actually say the first video is actually the official flagship, I guess I could say, of the of the collection of Lockport videos, because that one was where I got to see at least one of everything: Metra, Union Pacific, BNSF, and Amtrak. However, this time it was just BNSF and Amtrak, and it was only three trains. Now, I was initially going to just put them into three separate videos, but yeah. So I guess I could say that this Lockport video actually has pretty much set a new record for the channel. The shortest rail fanning compilation ever made. Only 5 minutes. Yes, that's right. It's only 5 minutes long. So that is quite short, and you'll definitely see it for yourself when we air it on Plainfield TV on tomorrow. But of course, there's a few other things I gotta talk about too. So, of course, we went to Embers, but this time, unlike the last time, I actually tried their patty melt, and of course, got their side of chips. It was good, and I was absolutely stuffed. I was stuffed to the bone immediately after taking the last bite. Like I felt stuffed for like about half an hour, and actually while I was taping the passing Lincoln service, yeah, this thing's stuck at 100% because of the screen mirroring. I'll have to do it this way because for some reason the wireless capabilities won't is not working right, but some days it works, some days it doesn't. So it's like a hit or miss. But but anyway, what's the other? So yeah, I had the patty melt, and they had mozzarella sticks as a side, and we once again got the mozzarella sticks and onion rings together as a pair of sides, and then of course I got the patty melt and the chips. I believe I had the fry. I think I had the fries last time. I can't remember, but this time I got the chips. So I had a very good dinner. A pretty good dinner, to say the least. Although, in my instance, and I don't know about anybody else's, I'd say the Heritage Corridor is kind of an unlucky. If anyone in the Chicagoland area wants to, find a good location, a good place to watch trains, I would not recommend anywhere on the Heritage Corridor because there's barely anything. And yes, there's barely anything at all. Well, at least we'll take it from my opinion. That's my opinion. I mean, everyone has different opinions, so that's in my opinion. I personally would not recommend going to Lockport if you're going to try to watch trains because I just said there's barely anything. Even on a Sunday, There wasn't any metro. There's no weekend service on the Heritage Corridor, not even for the Bears game. Which, by the way, we did stick around to watch the final minutes of the game, since we got there as the third quarter was starting and our game was being shown on CBS. So we watched the final minutes of the game and then headed home. So, well, we actually didn't quite head home just yet. We had to refuel our SUV with gas, and then we decided to head on over to Frosty Tips for some ice cream for dessert. And this time, which we were originally looking to do just after, just before Labor Day, I believe it was, yeah. That time, my father wasn't up for ice cream, but this time we all were. So we took the opportunity and did some ice cream, and it was actually pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good ice cream. Let me tell you that. And this is actually going to be one of the last times that Frosty Tips is open. They are a seasonal. They are a seasonal place like water parks. In fact, a lot of the water parks have actually already closed for the season, including Springbank. However, the Lockport splash pad was actually still operating when we passed by there. And when we passed by there, the splash pad was actually on. So I was quite surprised to see that. So yeah, let me break it down for you in basically the shortest way possible. So we had pretty much the thing we usually first do with when I go to my nanny Kevin's for a play day. We usually start with a nice little snack of Ritz crackers, apple slices, grapes, and some cheese to go along to complement the crackers. We played play 9, not our play 18. We didn't do 2 rounds because obviously that would take forever. And then 5 crown, we only went up to Jack. So we skipped over the last 2 rounds and just aborted the game there because we didn't have enough time, because we weren't gonna because if we were to go through those last 2 rounds, we would not make our reservation in time. So so I'm glad that was the decision we chose. So we so that's what we did. Yeah. So that's what we did. So yeah, I enjoyed it today. And then of course we went to Embers for dinner, and for appetizers got the mozzarella sticks and the onion rings. And then for the main course got the patty melt. The patty melt. And I don't think I went close into detail. I don't think I detailed further the order, because I noticed after they brought it out, I saw there were onions on it. So I just asked for the patty melt and I didn't say about any other, like removing any other ingredients. So I wasn't bothered by it, but I did nonetheless like it. I did enjoy it. It was pretty good. And then of course, being that it was exactly a year since the last Lockport video was made at that very same location, I ended up of course, I did end up seeing some trains while I was there. However, much less than last time. Of course, with the fact that it is a Sunday, and there is not that much activity usually on the railroads on a Sunday. There's not usually too much activity as there usually is on the weekday. Yeah, on the weekdays. The Heritage Corridor doesn't even run on weekends. They barely ever run on the weekdays. They barely ever do. And the only time they ever run Metros on that line is during rush hour. That's it. They don't run it at any other time. So, and yeah, unlike the last time, comparing it to that, where I got to see everything, like I mentioned, Union Pacific, BNSF, Metro, and Amtrak. This time, I got to see just BNSF and Amtrak. Two BNSFs, and of course Lincoln Service Number 305, which from my count, this is actually the third time I have that's the third time I've actually caught that Amtrak service train in person. And then since the Bears were playing, and when we got to Embers, it was actually surprisingly barren. There wasn't much people at all. It was like it was almost all to ourselves, except for a few people over at the bar area. So that was quite impressive. That we were thinking it was going to be jam packed, but it wasn't. I'm quite surprised. I'm sure all of us were. I'm sure all of us were quite surprised to see that. So yeah, it was quite. I was quite surprised. Quite surprising. And then after all of that, we had to stop for gas because obviously my father needs it. And we decided to stop off at Frosty Tips for some ice cream afterwards. And which unfortunately, this will probably be the last time we do it this year because they'll be closing for the season very soon. They're a seasonal place, just like with the water parks and splash pads and beaches and all that stuff. They only operate usually from they usually operate through the late spring and early fall, I'd say. Late spring or early fall. But when I looked at the forecast, I'm surprised that summer is not losing its grip yet. The summer does not want to go away yet. So it looks like summer wants to stick around for a bit longer. I know who loves summer so much. But wow, Albuquerque is still spamming warnings like crazy. My goodness. But anyway, then after we got home, since tonight was the season premiere of AFV, we decided to going to watch the recording of the season premiere, and that was about it. That was everything that we needed to make up. So we are pretty much all caught up now at this point. But then there's those scrambled ups that I'll be watching. Not first thing in the morning tomorrow because I'll be dedicating some of that. I was talking about the the upcoming schedule for the fall taping cycle earlier on this morning, so I'll reiterate with that. But basically, that was everything that happened when we were last with you, and I had just finished playing catch up with all the products from earlier, right before we went on the air. And I should probably utilize my phone. There was something else I didn't mention too. And there was something else I didn't say. I didn't say that I didn't say that my nanny also brought me condoms for from her recent trip to Scotland or the UK. So she bought them there and then brought them here to the United States, essentially on the flight home. And she told me she had a great time, and I'm very glad she did. And another one of her close contacts, Lynn. Lynn it's called? Yeah, it's called Lynn. So she talked with us for a bit during the Play 9 game, and I told her, and then she knows about how I'm 20, how I've turned 21, and then I told her, about the money and whatnot. And then I told Karen that I got a new phone fairly recently. And with that Lockport video, I did put the iPhone 17's new features to the test. So essentially, then the Northbrook video was the last one with my old 10R, and this Lockport one is the first one with my new iPhone 17. But then there are some more. But obviously, the first clip I muted. Um, there was music in the background, but I muted it just as a precaution in case that music was loud enough to yield a copyright claim of any kind. So, I just did a bit of a look around from the second level balcony. And this time, since we parked on the other side of the tracks, I went ahead and took a few pictures. Well, not really pictures, but in the form of little videos, because that's usually how I do my real fan compilations, right? That's usually how I do them. I usually start by, I usually begin by showing off the crossing. That's usually how my real fan videos start, right? I usually start them by showing off some features of the town and or like showing off the crossing and some of the surroundings. Like with Rochelle, that one was actually quite extensive, but Lockport was not as much. Alright, did it finish? It just finished on John TV, and it's still playing the same damn song. Why not something different? Why not something different? Well, anyway, continuing on, I also mentioned that. Let's see. Where was I? But when I was talking about comparing how I do my Rofang videos to, this Lockport video to Rochelle, how I compared the two in terms of how I usually start them. I was I was saying that I've had a lot more extensive surrounding footage than I had with Rochelle. And my father apparently got the memo, and he said that you won't believe it. He said that Rochelle is like related to relish and shellfish. That's why I call the shellfish shuffle. Well, yeah. I'm not sure if Brandon gets the idea. Well, not really. That's not really. That's sorry. That's related to a whole different thing. But anyway, um, back to the discussion about Lockport. So, as I've said, the Lockport video, this new one here, now holds the title of the shortest real fanny video that I've ever made at only 5 minutes. And of course, there wasn't anything too extensive because I was talking about how I usually start my real fanny videos, right? I just show off. First things I do is show off the crossing or crossings and some other surroundings, and including some other landmarks like the Lincoln statue in this case, and then a few signs on the Lockport heroes, and then after all that, the train, and then afterward, then come the trains. Of course, going in chronological order by which they were seen. Of course, an intermodal coming out of Chicago first, and then one going into Chicago. And then, of course, the biggest feature was the Lincoln service. And I think the footage came out much more smoothly, as Joan told me when I showed her my new phone and its features, that the camera quality was actually much more smooth. The picture was much more clearer than before. But I didn't notice this until after I watched it, but I actually filmed this in its new cinematic mode. So this was kind of a nice test run for this feature. And I gotta say, with all of that, I gotta be honest, this video came out brilliantly. The video came together brilliantly. But it's really the last train that sets the whole thing apart. Rather than filming it from the second level balcony, this time I instead decided to get a bit of a closer view and go to ground level. Yeah, and instead go to ground level and watch it go by right in front of the crossing. Just like I do with Downers Grove and mainly with Downers Grove. And then at the end, I decided to bring a little nod to the Downers Grove videos, riding the gate as it goes all the way up to as the gate goes to its full upright position. And apparently I did learn my lesson as well from the last. I could have done it. I could have done it with Northbrook too, but since I did get up close to the crossing, but I was more into the locomotive than anything else. And another thing was that because my new phone now has 256 gigabytes of storage, and the whole reason why it went up so quickly, like right after, was that I put the whole thing together on iMovie on my phone. So now that I've checked the video and that everything came out nicely, I can go ahead and get rid of it. But of course I can't take iMovie projects between devices. I'll just get rid of the two products. And I'm only going to keep the trains. I'm only going to keep the trains, and I'm not going to keep anything else to save space. Although this thing has quite a lot of it. But it's best that, what if I do another large scale real fanny video in the future? Maybe like the next season of Downers Grove or something. I need to leave enough space so that way I can do just that. And with 200 gigabytes, that will surely get the job done, wouldn't it? So yeah, I gotta say, I am quite impressed with my new phone so far, and how well it came out with Lockport. Pretty freaking amazing, I must say. I mean, despite being being the shortest Roll video that I've created, I gotta say, especially the last one, it came together absolutely brilliantly. It turned out amazing, especially at the, well, mainly with the horn show, that is. The horn show is so much different than the first video. Because comparison wise, the first video I only showed the crossing signal and not anything else. And of course, nothing much has changed since the last time we were there. And this time I did get a bit of a, did go up to the third level, the third level patio to get a better view of the BNSF. The horn show obviously was different. That was the horn show from the first video. And then this is the horn show from today. I gotta say, this horn show, for the horn show from today, was even more exciting than, was actually the most exciting of the Amtrak horn shows compared to the first video. So the first horn show from the first time I caught 305 was not the greatest. The second time around, well, it was better, but now this horn show was so much better. But then, in fact, I was, when I was anticipating, I was actually tracking it all the way with Amtrak's uh, track your train map. Of course, this was after I went back on all the usual on the rest of the usual trains, including, yeah, Zephyr, yeah, Chief Number 3, which I did earlier on. It was a 3 or so. I actually did that on the way to Embers, and then the other Borealis 1340 Builder Number 7, which I actually saw live while it toes up because it was a bit late out of Milwaukee. And lastly, Zephyr number 5, which was very late. And then, of course, an extra Amtrak train to top it all off. And can't see it on the. And I don't think you could see the effect on camera, which probably tells me the stabilization handled. I believe the stabilization actually turned out pretty nicely. Yeah, I think this thing did pretty good with image stabilization. Yeah, it did pretty good with stabilization. But as the thing was actually going by, my arm was, the arm which I was holding my camera was shaking. I'm not sure. Maybe because I wasn't expecting it to be on the closer track, or maybe it was just because of the horn show. I don't know. But regardless of such, this shot of Lincoln Service 305 was actually by far the best shot of this short distance Amtrak train that I think I have pretty much gotten. out of all 10 of these row fanning videos that I have made so far. Yeah, all 10 of these. But I'd say, but that is not including the Downrish Grove fanning series, and especially the first episode of that final week of the season. Where I was there for 2.5 hours, and where I was there for 2.5 hours watching the racetrack, and then of course I was treated to Zephyr 6 into Chicago and Zephyr 5 and 3 out of Chicago. Zephyr 5 and Chief number 3 out of Chicago. But yeah, when we were just about to leave, of course, we missed the Texas Eagle. But yeah. But now I know for next time, if we ever come down to Lockport again, we're not doing it on a Sunday. Because there's barely anything. And of course, the only things you could expect are just Amtraks. That's it, just Amtrak, nothing more. And of course, I had already, I was already standing out there waiting, and when I heard the 9th Street crossing activate with the combination of Siemens Type 3 and the Siemens E-Bell and the Western Cone Hayes E-Bell together, when I heard them both, I knew it was time, so. And I had even been practicing too, or even getting hyped for it the night before. The night before. I think the night before, right after we went off the air, by rewatching some older videos of Lockport and some more recent ones too. Not mine though. I gotta say, my shots were probably the best ones out of all of them. I have to say. But regardless of that, I'm very, very happy that I got a great result out of a video, out of a real fanning experience where there was basically nothing. And furthermore, now I don't have to sit here and watch AFV alongside Ticket to Ride if we did not make it up. If we did not make it up right when we got home. So I'm very happy for that. But the better thing about this was that I had a great time. I had a wonderful time with my relatives today. No, that was not what I wanted. Yeah, the biggest thing of all is that I had a wonderful time, as I've just said, with my relatives. I had a wonderful time with them. Of course, things I usually do with my nanny, with the snacks and the two. We only played 2 games, but we were tight on time, which of course was a big factor. If we had more time, we could have done more. But you know what? Regardless, I'm still happy that I enjoyed the time I had today. So yeah, I'm still very happy that I enjoyed the time, especially in Lockport, because I knew that I would get my chance to go back to Lockport someday soon. But although this didn't turn out as well as I had hoped, and I figured this would be, and I knew this was coming because this was a Sunday, but regardless of that, I'm still happy I got to return there again and actually see some trains. But you know, I could return, but maybe not after that recommendation or my personal opinion that I made earlier regarding how barren the Heritage Corridor basically is when it comes to Metro commuter service. But it was a great time. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of it, especially Frosty Tips afterward, nonetheless. So then I guess now after all of that, it is pretty much now going to be a while before before I get to before I ever get to do another real fanny video like that again. But who knows where the next real fanning adventure will take me. Maybe Western Springs again. Maybe Western Springs somewhere else along the racetrack. Heck, maybe even a special episode of Downers Grove during the off season. Hmm, that would be nice. That would be nice. A special episode of Downers Grove well after the during the off season. That would be spectacular to see. But again, who knows? We'll see where the next adventure again will take us. All right. So as we're finishing up this game here, I think we'll have time to play two more games. Now, let me go ahead and reiterate everything that I sort of said at the beginning of the first stream that we did earlier today, which was Roblox Arcade and Wait Wait Don't Tell Me. Before all of this, so first thing is involving tomorrow's schedule. So tomorrow will be our Minecraft show as we normally do. We're going to put up the signs for Interstate 205, and then we are going to begin the construction of the next expressway in line, which I believe is going to be Interstate 356. Yeah, I believe 356 is the next interstate in line to get constructed. So that road we'll do next. So yeah, that road we are going to do next. So yeah, that road we're going to do next. And then afterward, let's see. So yeah, we're going to put the signs up for 205 first thing. And then after that, we will move on to Interstate 356. We'll see how much of that road we can get built. Although I'm not sure exactly how much of it we can do. But we'll try to get as much of it in as we'll try to build as much of it as we can. But mainly I'll do what I have been doing, just and since we're going to be on ground level this time as opposed to elevated, I have a feeling that this process is going to go quicker. Is actually going to go quite fast. But we'll see. But we'll see. We'll see. But well, we'll see. We'll see how much progress we can make on it. But again, if we do need to allow extra time in order to accomplish this goal, then of course we will of course utilize the extra time. So that's for tomorrow. We're talking about programming right now, and then of course we'll get to the fall tapings in a bit. Tuesday, of course, there will not be another live show because of my evening class. Wednesday will be our weekly test show, along with the floor 99 to beat. Thursday will be backyard baseball. So we'll watch. So of course, I'll go to my networking class, come back here, start the backyard baseball game, and then we'll see where to take the rest of the day from there. And then Friday will be our Friday Fun Night show. We will return to that next week. And then Saturday should be normal for right now. But of course, if anything changes, of course I will let you know. And then Sunday of next week, I'm still deciding what we will do because of the following week. Well, everything's going to be normal. Monday will be Minecraft, Wednesday will be the weeklies, Thursday will be backyard baseball, and Friday will be the fun night show, and then Saturday will be something else. That week, however, there will be some differences. Tuesday will be we will actually, and for that week only, we will be doing Roblox in its full on self, in its full form on Tuesday, the 6th, I believe. There's Tuesday the 6th. That's going to be next. So that's going to be in like 2 weeks. So Tuesday the 6th is where we'll be returning to it in its full form. Just for that day only. And then for Sunday, I'm still deciding what we will do in its place. I've been thinking, why don't we maybe add some more Minecraft? Why don't we add some more Minecraft construction? Maybe add another Minecraft construction session to maybe make up for the amount of time that we lost to maybe make up for the amount of lost to make up for the lost time that we had. Probably from the, well, I wouldn't say from the primetime shows, but from the unexpected chores that I did not have planned. I did not have planned interrupting the show, but of course was an essential part of the day. So that's what I was thinking. We'll do that on the 6th. And then, of course, Roblox. We'll start that at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, the 7th, right after. Tuesday the 7th, yep, Tuesday the 7th, right after Jeopardy. So Sunday the 5th would be an extra day of Minecraft. This would be like a sort of a pre-show, and then Monday will be the main show. Tuesday will be our Roblox show at 4, the 6th, by the way. No, the 7th will be our Roblox show, October 7th at 4 p.m., as we usually do. And then Wednesday, of course, will be our weekly test show. And then Thursday, Backyard Baseball, just like with Roblox, for that week only, will start at 5 p.m. As we usually do, right? We usually start the game around that time. So that is what we're going to do. And then, of course, after that, everything else sort of goes back to normal, except then, Wednesday the 15th, the stream is then split into 2 parts. Because part 1 will go till 5 p.m. Part 2 will start after I get back from my other evening class. And we'll see what we can do about everything throughout the course of the night. You know, we'll think about it. But anyway, now the next thing is regarding the fall taping cycle in regards to that. That's what the next piece of thing, the next advice concerns. The fall taping cycle. So, as many of you all know, we are getting pretty close to the end of recording episodes of Sorry. Currently, we have recorded 360 episodes of the show, and our goal is 385. Now, I was thinking about replacing that intro, but we are already well into the fall taping cycle, so we might, and they all want, and all my subscribers want Downers Grove Main Street, so I'm just gonna just leave it as it is and not have this footage of the Amtrak train replace, sort of like reuse the other footage from the first intro, but well, from this year's intro, but enhanced and up close. But I feel like this is a better idea because I just want to show that now I've been able to go to downtown Downers Grove and, you know. But anyway, once again with the fall tapings, let me start over from the beginning. So, like I said, with Sorry, and I will continue that taping procedure tomorrow. 360 episodes of the show have so far been recorded. I have not gotten around to the editing of a majority of the tapings since I started doing them, moving them all to my other hard drive, my other external device. So I'll continue the Sorry taping process this week. So this week I'll continue recording Sorry episodes. Or for Sunday of the week, remember the 6th, I was thinking maybe we may not just do a taping at all or a show at all. But I'm still thinking Minecraft is going to be the best way to go. So that's what I'm thinking. You have to fill in the time. But again, that decision is not final. I will think about it and we'll see we'll see how things play out. So anyway, this is our 6th and final game, and then we are done. So let me start over with the fall tapings. So, as for Sorry, like I just said, only 25 episodes are left to record. As so far, I have recorded 360 out of the 385 that is needed to go through the entirety of 2026. We've already gotten all the holiday episodes recorded and well, actually most of them already uploaded. I still have to upload the rest of them, and then of course do all the other episodes. So, and I was actually doing the math earlier and previously. So, on average, it seems like each day we tend to record 8 or 9 episodes. However, some days we can actually tape as much as 10. So, what I was thinking is tomorrow, go 8 or 9. So then I was thinking at the latest would be Thursday. Because, of course, tomorrow I'll be recording episodes until about 4 p.m., which is when we start our Minecraft show. Then on Tuesday, record more episodes. I'll go till 4:30. And then I was thinking about doing another taping session after that, but we'll see how long the lecture goes this week. We'll see how long the lecture goes this week, and that will determine whether or not we record more episodes later that night or not. Most likely not, because I had a bunch of chores shoved down my throat right as I walked through the door. Right as I got home, I had a bunch of chores shoved down my throat instead of taping more episodes. And I'm still pretty pissed about it. Or angry about it, I should say. I should say it in a friendly form. I'm still pretty angry about it, but it had to be done. But then, of course, Wednesday we won't be doing any tapings at all because, we'll be on the air all day for the weeklies. And then Thursday actually will be the last day of tapings. Because at that point, I believe there will be only 5 episodes left of the order. That will then bring the total number to 385. So then immediately following the tapings of the remaining episodes, then I'll just take all the episodes on that drive, move them over to my micro, move them over to my Dell Micro. Yeah, move them over to the micro on its hard drive, transfer all the files, edit the other episodes, and then begin the editing, and then begin the export process pretty much immediately, and then start the export process of all the remaining episodes pretty much immediately. However, of course, the taping process would be halted by my evening class, so then I would just continue that process when I return from my evening class to both start Backyard Baseball and resume exporting Sorry episodes, which would continue well through the night. Friday, and of course every other day throughout the course of this week, at the end of this week rather, I will go ahead and render all of the Sorry episodes, and then when we have enough in the upload queue that we can get them uploaded, then I'll start the process of uploading all of the episodes. But now with the new show joining my lineup, scrambled up, now I'll have to rethink my schedule when it comes to the fall taping cycle, especially for the second half of the semester coming up. So here's what I was thinking. And this is going to be true when we do Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? So, Mondays, I'll focus on my digital media course. That would mean no tapings of 5th grader, and I'll just watch all my shows at once at lunch. Tuesdays and all other days. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, but not Wednesday because with all the weeklies though. So then Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I will take care of the shows first thing in the morning. Both scrambled ups and however many perfect lines there are to take care of. Flip side, I would say for lunch. When those shows are finished, if there is time, I can then get a head start on that day's tapings of fifth grader. And then when it comes time for lunch, when it comes lunchtime, I'll stop to have lunch and watch Flipside and 25 Words or Less. And then after both shows are done, and my lunch is as well, then we'll come back up here and we'll continue taping episodes of fifth grader. Now, my goal is to tape 10 episodes of the show per day. Considering on average, the show usually takes about 15 minutes to tape. I'd say at most 15 minutes. I think there are a few that have actually gotten closer to 20 minutes. So I'm still going to say that 15 minutes has been the average in terms of tapings. So again, I'll record as many episodes as I can. I'll try to do as many, and I'll do it by week. So, after we tape Friday's episode of the show, then I'd stop for the day. So again, the goal is 10 episodes per day. So yeah, the goal each week would be 10 episodes per day. So if we're, Monday, if we're doing digital media, and then Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, that would mean, well, the only exception then is Friday and Tuesday and Thursday, because I would do additional tapings, following Jeopardy, most likely a week, if not less. But with Thursday, there could be even more. When it comes to there could be furthermore when it comes to Thursday. But then Friday, the time is going to be absolutely extensive because I'm going to have a whole lot of time after after Jeopardy because I don't have any classes that day, and our Fun Night show does not come on until about 7. All right, so we are done. Then we'll take it to ride, but let me finish my discussion. Oh wow, the battery really got charged. So we're gonna pull up UPF. It is not playing at all. Okay, we're gonna do them both on this iPad as I have been doing. Okay, let me continue now. So with Friday having more time, that could mean I would then record more fifth grader episodes than the original 10 episode plan. So that would mean I may record 30 episodes of fifth grader each day. So I'm looking to actually begin that process after midterm because actually not really after midterm, but I'd say after the week of the 14th. So, but the earliest I could actually begin recording episodes would be Friday the 17th, because then I will have taped the final pieces of footage for the Nostalgia Paradise series finale, and by then I would have finalized the episode. Yeah, by then I would have had the episode completely finalized. Ooh, right on time. Okay, I will get those added. Alright, but I'll go ahead and finish the discussion regarding the fall taping cycle. So, after the completion of Sorry, I'll then put my focus and emphasis on both college midterms and setting up for the final episode of Nostalgia. But to finalize the final episode of Nostalgia Paradise, which I'm looking to release on Saturday. That's Saturday of that week, the 18th. So hoping by Thursday I can have the whole thing completed. Thursday, because I actually may not have enough time to, actually record the final piece of the footage. And for a good reason. Of course, my evening college class, being the primary reason. Being the primary reason for the whole thing. Being the primary reason for the whole thing. But I will only have. I'm actually only going to have. So if I start on the 17th, I will only then have a week and a half to record episodes. Now that's not a lot of time, because I believe the 30th I heard we're going to be taking a pretty big hiatus from recording episodes of pretty much anything. That's because, well, I will not explain the reason why, but I'm not going to explain the reason why, but I do certainly need to prepare for that break. And there's actually there's a bunch of other things that I gotta do too, because I found out that now I can add a terabyte of storage onto my Inspiron desktop. I was thinking about doing some upgrades to it. Maybe add that 1 terabyte drive onto that PC to expand its storage capacity, so that I can take those 49 gigabytes of download files off the drive and move it onto that. But here's the problem. That 1 terabyte drive is inside of my Optiplex, and that has a running Windows 11 installation on it. So that would mean I would need to back up all my data and reinstall Windows. So that's what I'm going to do. But in order to accomplish that, I'm going to do the same process as I did when I initially got it a few months ago. I'm just going to recreate the recovery media from Dell's OS recovery tool, and then use it to reinstall Windows on the machine. Simple as that, right? Well, we'll see how it goes. And then I'll have to do it via Ethernet. And then I'll have to repeat the process of going through installing Windows 10 and then upgrading it to Windows 11. And this time, like when I did with the micro, I have pretty much learned my lesson. Update your install images, because I had a Windows 11 image from January, so thankfully when I did the upgrade, I had updated it to the one from July. So if this is what I'm looking to do, I'm going to need to update the image again. But also, I'll also need to back up the IceCast files, so that way then I can read the IceCast and Asmara files. So that way then I can reinstall the IceCast and Asmara software onto the machine after Windows is reset. So essentially saying, I'm going to take that 1 terabyte drive out, and I'm going to throw in either the 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD from the micro initially, or the 240 gigabyte SSD, which actually is what I'm looking to do because I don't use it for any storage intense stuff. So that's probably what I'll do. Take that 1 terabyte out, put it in my Inspiron desktop, and just utilize it as that. But I'm still waiting for a proper nail so I can put in that NVMe SSD, and then I could have a second drive. But currently, I do not think that plan is I don't think that plan is in the works at this moment, but it's fine. I'll think about it, as we go on here. So that's with the fall taping. So once again, here's the plan. Finish Sorry this week, then prepare to take the final pieces of the Nostalgia Paradise finale. Essentially, swap out the hard drive on my old laptop, reinstall and upgrade that copy of Windows 10, swap the 1 terabyte SSD out of my small form factor and put it into my current Inspiron desktop, my main PC, to expand the storage. I'll have to make sure there are the SATA power and data cables inside of there, because I did see there was an option to expand the storage, but I'm gonna take a look at it and see if that's the case. And see if I can do anything about that. And then, of course, take the final pieces of Nostalgia, including recording the voiceovers, which I still need to do for the Extended Security Update enrollment segment of the episode. And then there's also one more episode segment that I'm going to do to transition into the true finale of the whole thing. So, here again is the plan. Finish recording Sorry and start rendering it this week. Then start flip-flopping drives. The 1 terabyte from the small form factor to my Inspiron. VGA cable to the micro. VGA port, at least I'll try it again this time. And set up my old laptop for the final scene of the Nostalgia finale when the last update is released on October 14th. And then after the Nostalgia episode is finalized, then production on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, the second half of Season 2, will then commence. Tapings will be halted on the 30th, so whatever taping we're doing that day, we will stop it, because then taking a big break. Tapings will then most likely not continue until November 4th. So November 4th then is when tapings will most likely then resume. We'll then finish up 5th grader, and then we'll see what we can fill in for the remaining time leading up to the holiday season. But again, we'll see what we can get in within that. We'll see what we can get in within that period of time. So, with that said, that's all we got for you tonight, folks. So thank you all so much for joining us here, both for our Roblox Arcade live stream from earlier this afternoon and morning, and for our Ticket to Ride live show here tonight. Again, we thank you so much for joining us here, and we look forward to seeing you again here. We'll see you again here tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. when we do our Minecraft show, where we'll wrap up 205 and we'll begin construction on the next interstate in line, which again is 356. So 356 is next in line. We still got a long way to go to get this roadway project done, but we are slowly but surely working our way there. So again, we'll see you all tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. when we do our Minecraft show. So until then, from all of us here at Playfield TV and Highland Now, we wish all of you a wonderful good night.